Hi everyone, it's Annette and welcome back to Cotto Verde. Today's quite an exciting day. I wanted to show you what's going on, and although it hasn't got much to do with gardening, it has to do with our garden plan. And I've been saying for a few months now that we've got great plans for the garden this year. And what we're going to do is we're going to build a pond, or dig a pond. And the area where the pond is going, unfortunately, is here, up against our rear wall, and it's kind of precisely where the old log store is. This shed contraption was here when we bought the property many years ago, and it was filled with junk then, and it's now filled with a load of timber left over from our renovation project, and it's filled with lots of logs, and we need to move it all in order for the pond to be dug, and that is a mammoth job. So my son was here yesterday and he helped Richard start moving some logs, and yeah, we've got the rest to do. So I think it's going to take us a few weekends. So I wanted to explain to you, maybe with the aid of a plan that I'll post up on the screen, the changes that we're going to make to the garden. So what I'm going to do today is explain to you what the grand plan is for the back garden here. You'll know that we've been digging some beds over the last few years, but we really do have some actual plans for the garden that I've created myself just by designing things that I like. And one of the most important things that I feel we should have is a pond. I want to attract more wildlife into the garden, not deer. So we are putting up a deer fence, but I do want to attract, all the creatures and critters, and I just think that a pond, maybe with like a little sort of tiny waterfall or run of some kind, is really going to add to this garden. And I just think it would be somewhere lovely to sit of a summer's evening and come and watch the wildlife. So that's what we're doing here in this area, and it's going to be it's not going to be like a round shape. It's kind of going to have an area against the back wall where we could put a table and chairs and maybe an arbour, and then it's going to have stepping stones across the middle so that we can walk across the pond rather than having to go round. But there will be a path that goes all the way around the back of the pond, so that we can walk from the flower beds through the garden, round the back of the pond, and then continue on to this area over here where I'm going to have lots of not necessarily fruiting trees, but trees that will flower maybe at different times through the spring and hopefully provide some autumn colour too. So this will be an area of deciduous trees, and you'll be able to sort of wander through the glade. This is what I'm imagining anyway, and that's what's going to go on in this area here. So where we're moving the logs is literally from this store behind me and all the wood, and we're going to move it to the far end of the garden, right down the end over there. I don't know if you can see, there's a pile of logs there already that's what my husband and son did yesterday. And yeah, so we're moving them all the way down there. It is a really big job. It's going to take us a few weekends, but I just wanted to show you what it was like at the beginning, so that when I say it was a massive job, you'll see why. So we have a lot of logs here, and we've probably got way more than we need in our lifetime. And so I may try and give them away on some websites where you can give things away for free, just to try and offload some of them, because we really do have way too many logs and it's taken up a considerable amount of space. You can see there are 4 bays and at least 3 of them are full of logs. So not only do we have the log store, this is the side of the log store, so this is full of logs, but we've also got this absolutely enormous water tank here, and I think it was put here so that the rainwater would run off the corrugated roof and fill the tank, but it's an enormous tank and it just never gets full. It hasn't got a lid on it, so we've had to put some planks of wood over the top because we were worried about the cats falling in and not being able to get out. But this is a really huge tank, and somehow we're going to have to find a way to move that, because I don't really want to lose it, and I'd rather move it round to where our other sheds are, where we do get sufficient rainwater to fill this tank up. So I've just moved further down the garden, so I'm kind of standing at the other end. That is the log store up there. That is the log store up there. And I don't know whether you can see the posts that we've got kind of marked out here, but we've just hammered in some stakes to give us an idea of where we might want the trees to go. And so this is where the deciduous trees are. This will be the glade, and you'll be able to wander through, and there's an archway here at the end that has been here the whole time. It was here when we arrived. And yeah, you just be able to wander through the trees and then come round to where we're going to have like the potager or, you know, vegetable garden. Behind me here is the archway. This was here when we arrived, and it looks a little bit odd sometimes because it's kind of just standing there on its own, sort of next to a low wall. But I'm going to obviously grow something lovely up it once we've cleared all the weeds from the base. And yeah, this is the archway, and directly opposite the archway, I'm planting a gorgeous, hopefully a cherry or a crabapple, something that will draw you through the archway. That is my plan. Okay, so I have now moved away from the arch. You can see the old log store here behind me, and the dahlia bed that we dug, the no-dig dahlia bed, is along here. And this area behind me is going to be grass with a big bed in the middle, and I haven't decided whether that's going to be like a wildflower meadow or whether we're going to have like maybe a croquet lawn or petanque or something. But spaced in parallel lines behind me, we're going to have Italian cypresses, and there will be 8 in total. So there'll be 2 on either side up against the wall where the camera is, and then there are going to be 3 in parallel lines behind me with an expanse of grass or something in the middle of them. And literally where we're standing, I'm hoping to have a gazebo. So right at the very end of this line of Italian cypresses, I need to plant something spectacular or create a garden structure, maybe a pergola or a rose arbor or something like that. So this is the wall that divides our garden from the area that's going to be the potager, and all the new logs are over in that far corner over there, and we're moving them from over there. So down the back wall here is supposed to be a gorgeous garden bed, and then we'll have a path. There'll be a gazebo in the middle, and then you'll be able to look down the avenue of Italian cypresses, and then we're going to have a second bed down here. You can't really see where it's going, but we have planned it out. We just need to have this whole area leveled because it's like this at the moment, and we can't really create a garden when the ground is doing this all over the place. Yeah, you could basically break your ankle trying to walk across the lawn at the moment. So we need to get this whole area leveled, and that is another thing that's happening this year. So I don't really show this area of the garden very much, mostly because, you know, we've got bricks and things left over from the building work, but there's a gorgeous south-facing wall behind me, and I really want to have some sort of shade terrace here. If I turn you around 180 degrees, you'll be able to see that I am looking directly at the log store. So this is the gorgeous cherry that we have. It's beautiful soft pink colour in the summer and lovely autumn colour, and directly behind me there in the background, and that's where the current log store is that we need to move all the way down that end of the garden. So this bed is looking really sparse and a little bit weedy. It has got some lovely things in there, but it's not nearly as beautiful as it normally is at this time of year because we've had so much deer pressure, and I haven't planted a lot of my annuals that I would normally have planted in this bed because I just know that if I plant them, the deer will come and eat them straight away. So until we've got the deer fence up, I can't plant those. So I'm standing under the cherry tree at the moment, and this is the big bed behind me. There's the log store, and along this yew hedge here we're going to have another flower bed. So there'll just sort of be like a wavy lawn leading up to the shade terrace up on the south facing wall here, and it will lead you down to the pond. So when you sit up there, you'll be able to see straight down to the pond. So the other thing that I wanted to mention about the pond is you're probably wondering what we're going to do with all the spoils from the pond. And because we live in a walled garden, actually. So the other thing that I wanted to mention about the pond is you're probably wondering what we're going to do with all the spoils from the pond. And because we live in a walled garden, actually, it's quite difficult to start trying to get everything out because we just have a single gate and it's kind of tucked away. So whilst we can get a very small digger in, it would be really laborious to move everything into the pond. And so I need to create a mound. So behind me here is kind of where we have the bonfire, and I mean obviously that's going to move because that's going to be the middle of a lawn, but bearing in mind that this whole area is going to be a pond, on either side of the pond, and I'll put a plan up so you can see, we're just going to create mounds with the spoils that come out of the pond, and that will enable me to have some taller planting on one side and hopefully a gorgeous trickly waterfall on the other side, and that is the plan. So at the moment this garden is a sun-baked wasteland, a meadow I suppose you could call it, but there just isn't enough shade. It's really hard for me to find shade to record in. It's hard for the garden because with all the heat that we're getting, it's hard for it to retain moisture. There aren't enough plants, but also there's no shade anywhere. So what we're going to do is plant some evergreen trees, and I've got 5 evergreens of varying sizes, and they're all different, and we're going to be putting those in around the garden so that it helps to create shade. We're also going to have the avenue of Italian cypresses, and that will also help to create shade over time because they're not huge right now, but as they grow they will help to create shade. And then gradually this garden will become more of a garden and less of the wasteland that it currently is. So I hope you've enjoyed this tour around the garden today and the explanation I've given for the things that we're doing, and I hope that the plan has been helpful for you to be able to visualize what's going on. We are super excited about everything we've got planned for this garden. It is going to take time, but gardens are always a work in progress. I feel like there's never going to be an end, but I hope that thinking ahead and planning like this is going to help us to create something that will last and bring us joy for years to come, because it'll be like the basis and the structure of what we want in the garden. And this is very much what we want in our garden, and we're not trying to keep up with any trends, and we're not trying to do anything very modern because we've got a grade 2 listed property and that's not really our style. And I love an English cottage garden. What it is going to be is full of colour and full of fluff and full of wildlife enticing plants, and hopefully full of areas where we can sit at the end of a hard day's work or at the end of a day's gardening and just really enjoy the garden and, you know, spend time with family and friends. And hopefully it'll just be a space that draws people in and makes them want to wander around. And I've tried to create a path around the garden so that of an evening or a morning, if I just want to come out, I can actually take a stroll around the whole garden on some kind of path, whether that's, you know, composted bark or, you know, cobblestones or whatever it may be. I've tried to create like a flow so that I can see myself wandering around it. Anyway, that is the end of the tour for today. If you've got any questions, do leave them in the comments below and I'll be really happy to answer them. And of course, I'm going to continue filming to show you what we're doing and the progress we're making. So do subscribe to my channel if you want to follow along and see how everything's going. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.